Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. Turn this down, so. This is your brother, Quadar of GMS Gulf Coast. And I'd like to start by giving infinite honor and praise to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors are given up to the apostle, elders, great millstone. Men who have labored and suffered in this truth over 30 plus years, making their lives and their bodies a living sacrifice. I also like to send a shalom to the hopefully elect, the 1/3 of the nation of Israel, which consists of men, women, and children, as well as the bishop, elders, heads of council, great millstone. And last but not least, I'd like to send a shalom to any of you Akim not named GMS, but walking one body, one spirit, and Yahweh Shai. Preaching and teaching is 100% truth. To you all, shalom. And Adawan Ratazah, Lord willing to be edified, not too long. As a beloved brother, head of our camp, Ratazah has stated, whenever any of us brothers forget to incorporate our Hebrew word of the day to the days assigned to us, that we're to incorporate it into a video that we don't throw off the rest of the body. And this is my video, incorporating the Hebrew word of the day into a video. But I'm going to start by showing a little clip here. I'm going to bring out a couple of precepts and an example of why, an example through the scriptures of why our battle is not with the flesh. So, having said that, I'm going to play this little clip. And let's get to the business.
I'm not just out here carrying because I can. I'm carrying because they're trying to take away the right to.
Reports of an armed man in Severn has residents on edge for days in Anne Arundel County. Now, Governor Wes Moore is speaking out on that situation. Fox 25's Vincent Hill has more on why the governor's comments may have sparked more armed people to show up in protest of Senate Bill 1. Vincent, what did you find out?
Yeah, Kaya, back and forth between the governor and a man who says he's just standing up for his rights, now leading to several people with guns around school-age kids. In Severn, concerns of a man armed with an AR-15 as kids are getting off the bus.
It was just chaos. He was standing at the bus stop talking to the children. They all ran off.
But it's not a threat of an active shooter, and he's doing it right in front of police while they can't do anything about it.
All these cops here, somebody else is in real danger right now. You know that, right?
Jaden McAdory legally carrying a rifle and protesting Senate Bill 1. Signed into law by Governor Wes Moore on Tuesday. McAdory telling Fox 45 he's reached out to the governor personally.
Make America great again. Let me first point out something, man. You jakes are just as lost as the sauce. That was the point, we wrestle not with flesh and blood, and our weapons of warfare are not carnal, But majority of our people, 2/3 of our people, that just seems to be the case. But we're gonna get an example of why Jake does what he does. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I say, the subject matter is we wrestle not with flesh and blood. So let's go straight to the scripture. I just want to bring out that right there as a focal point. So I'm going to just jump right into the scripture. Okay. Let's get right into it. This will be slow. Okay, let's go to Ephesians 6 and verse 12, and it reads, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." I'm going to keep reading on, but that's the point right there. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. That's the point. But I'm going to read on just to give it a little more clarification. It says, wherefore take on to you the whole armor of Yahweh, that ye may be able to withstand the evil day, and having done all to stand. Yep. Now, I want to get into that word flesh real quick. Sure. So we'll go into the Strong's Concordance for the word flesh. Because,
Strong's G 4561. Sarx.
sarx. And it reads, outline of biblical usage. Flesh, the soft substance of the living body, which cover the bones and is pre-meated with blood of both man and beast. The body, a body of a man, use of a natural, it's like use of natural or physical origin, generation or relation. Let's keep now. That's what I'm born. Let's see. Without suggestion, the animal nature, color, physical nature of a man subject to suffering. The physical nature of man as subject to suffering. A living creature because possessed of a body of flesh, whether man or beast. The flesh denotes mere man nature, the earthly nature of man, apart from divine influence, and therefore prone to sin and opposed to God. Now, real quick, we're going to go to the Old Testament. We're going to grab it here and 2, I think in 23. Yeah. My bone, flesh of my flesh. And Adam said, this is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman. Okay, just using it for a different context, using it for the same context to bring out the, because this is actually where we're going to pull the Hebrew word that was in Greek. So we're going to bring it over here to the Old Testament, which is written in Hebrew. Therefore, we can pull it from the Assyrian into the Paleo. But doing this to show that the definition from the New Testament to the Old Testament is basically the same. That's basically what I'm doing this for. Okay. Let's see. And you see right here it says, and flesh, and then it says, of my flesh, showing the same two Strong's numbers, H1320, H1320. So we'll just click on and flesh.
Strong's H 1320. Basar.
And that's close. That's close to what I have. Let's go. And it reads, flesh of the body, of humans, of animals, the body itself, male organs of generation, all living things, animal man-made, mankind, it's like here it is right here, flesh as frail or erring man against God, same meaning. So now we have the Hebrew word, which I'm gonna have to take a picture because I'm using my precept phone to do this. To do these lessons, I always use my precept phone. So I will be posting the word after when I post the video. I will post the word with the video. But now reading an example. Let's go back to the Ephesians 6 and 12. Let's read it again. It says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." And there's a reason why we wrestle not with these, with the flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world. It says against spiritual wickedness in high places. Now, Jake could be goaded out to come and, show his or her support for gun rights and things of that sort now. But the scriptures lay out, and I'm not going to go into it too deep, that the sword was blessed unto Esau Edom. Those same cops you see out there patrolling and watching him while he exercised his quote-unquote right to bear arms, if anything was to go down, they'd be justified in laying him down. You follow what I'm saying? Because they was blessed with that, So spiritually and physically, you're not going to whoop these people with carnal weapons. Matter of fact, let me grab that real quick. You're not going to whoop these people with carnal weapons. That's their blessing. This is 2 Corinthians 10:4, and it reads, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yahweh to the pulling down of strongholds." And this Constitution is a stronghold for a lot of you Jakes, man, because you believe that you have some stake in it when you really don't. It's still in that Constitution. You're 3/5 of a person. So you have no stake in it. And then it's a stronghold. It's a stumbling block for a lot of our people. But like I said, for our weapons are not carnal. They're spiritual. And let's get to the example that I wanted to use. A very good example of that. And we're going to go in the first, it was First King or Second King? Well, it's First King. Let's see what King Ahab and Jehoshaphat, King Ahab being the king of the northern kingdom, Israel, and Jehoshaphat was the king of the southern kingdom, Judah. Real quick, Slocky, real quick. Let me grab some here real quick before I get started. But like I said, I'm going to use this as an example of why our weapons of warfare are not carnal, but spiritual. And this should be a great example of that. Let the scripture speak. Okay. If I can get it going here. Let's see. All right. And so we're finna bring 4 or 5 examples. Let's read of why we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with powers, spiritual powers, and principalities in high places. And I do believe this is a real good example of that. This is 1 King chapter 22, and I'm going to start at the top. It says Ahab's third campaign against Aram, king of the Assyria. And it reads, and they counted 3 years without war between Syria and Israel. And it came to pass, and notice, now mind you, the northern kingdom went into captivity under the Assyrian, ultimately. And it reads, and it came to pass in the 3rd year that Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, which is the king of the southern nation of Israel, came down to the king of Israel. And the king of Israel said unto his servants, Know ye that Ramoth in Gilead is ours, and we be still. You know what I'm saying? It's still being occupied by Syria. And he reads, and take it not out of the hand of the king of Syria. And he said unto Jehoshaphat, wilt thou go with me to battle to Ramoth Gilead? And Jehoshaphat said to the king of Israel, I am as thou art my people. I am as thou art my people, as thy people, my horses as thy horses. We won, in other words, because, Northern Kingdom, Southern Kingdom, so-called Native Americans and the Indian sort, as they call the Northern Kingdom, Indians. We're all one. We're the house of Israel. And it keeps reading. Let's keep going. It says in verse 5, and it says, and Jehoshaphat said unto the king of Israel, inquire, I pray thee. It says, at the word of the Lord Yahweh today. And so he wanted Jehoshaphat. He wanted to find out what the Lord had to say first and foremost. Because we never made a move without seeing what our Heavenly Father had to say about the situation. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, it says, then the king of Israel gathered the prophets together, about 400 men, and said unto them, shall I go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall I forbear? And they said, go up, for the Lord shall deliver into the hand of the king. And they were like, go ahead, man, the Lord got your back. and you're going to be victorious, But we're going to find out that's not the case. Hence, going back to we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with spiritual, and principalities, spirits and principalities in high place. I'm butchering it, but you know what I'm saying. Verse 7, it said, and Jehoshaphat said, is there not here a prophet of the Lord Yahweh beside that we might inquire him? He said, is there another, he said, in other words, Jehoshaphat said, is there also a prophet of the Lord Yahweh here? We should ask him the same question. You know what I'm talking about? Let's ask him the same question. And you're going to find out when Micaiah come on the scene, you're going to find out why you should always inquire, check with the Lord before you make a move. Because ultimately it's the Lord that's deciding everything. You're not in control of anything. It's just an illusion. Verse 8, and it says, and the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, there is yet one man, Micaiah, the son of Amilah, by whom we may acquire of the Lord Yahweh, but I hate him, for he doeth not prophesy good concerning me, but evil. And Jehoshaphat said, let not the king say so. He said, man, don't be talking like that, man. And this prophet, Micaiah, he always speak the straight and skinny, just what the Lord say, So, he didn't really want to hear that, he want to be, what's that scripture? Matter of fact, let me grab it real quick. I'm gonna come back to it because this is the sentiment of our people. The scripture I'm about to grab, because see, he didn't want to hear that. He wanted to hear what he wanted to hear. Real quick, I'm gonna come back to that. It's Isaiah 30, I believe, and 10. Here we go, and it reads. Check this out. This is Isaiah 30 and 10. I'm just straight to the point. Which say to the seers or the prophets, Micaiah, see not, and to the prophets prophesy not unto us right things. You see, he said he always speaking, giving them bad news and evil, and evil news. It says, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceit. So he wanted to hear a lie, basically. He wanted to hear a lie. Now let's get back to it real quick. I just want to bring that point out. And the king of Israel, verse 8, and the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, there is yet one man, Micaiah, the son of Amilah, by whom we may, we question the Lord. inquire the Lord Yahweh, but I hate him because he don't prophesy unto him smooth things. For he doeth not prophesy good concerning me, but evil. And Jehoshaphat said, let not the king say such things. Like, man, you better be careful what you say, man. Don't be talking like that. This one king talking to another now. And verse 9, then the king of Israel called an official and said, hasten hither, Micaiah, the son of Amiah. He said, bring him quickly. Just bring him quickly. Verse 10, and the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, sat down on his throne, having put on their robes in a void place, the entrance of the gate of Samaria, and all the prophets prophesied before them. And Zedekiah, the son of Chaniah, I know I'm butchering it, made him horns of iron and said, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, with these shalt thou push the Assyrians until thou hast consumed them. You know, and he basically saying that with the horns that he made, you know what I'm talking about, that the king Ahab was gonna be able to slaughter the Assyrians, the Syrians. Verse 12, and it reads, all the prophets prophesy. So all of them was in one accord and saying this now. So go, it says verse 12, and all the prophets prophesy so, saying, go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper, for the Lord Yahweh shall deliver it into the king's hand. Verse 13, and the messenger that was gone to call Micaiah spoke unto him, saying, behold, now the words of the prophets declare good unto the king with one mouth. See, they was all on one accord. It says, let thy word, I pray thee, be like the word of one of them, and speak that which is good. And so he was like, man, look here, they was all saying one thing, so make sure that you tell the king the same thing that they telling him. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, we reading on. You know, in other words, promise them success, man. You know, tell them what they want to hear, you know, basically. In verse 14, and it reads, and Micaiah said, as the Lord Yahweh liveth, what the Lord Yahweh saith unto me, that will I speak. You know, that's it. That explains itself. He said, whatever the Lord tell me to say, that's what I'm going to say, you know. Anyway, let's keep moving. 15, so he came to the king, and the king said unto him, Micaiah, shall we go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall we forbear? And he answered him, go and prosper, for the Lord Yahweh shall deliver it into the hand of the king. He knew he was being sarcastic, though. You know what I'm talking about? He knew he was being sarcastic. Verse, what it is, 16. And the king said unto him, how many times shall I adjourn thee, that thou tell me nothing but that which is true in the name of the Lord Yahweh? You like, man, now, that don't sound right. That don't sound right. So, so we're going on to verse 17, and he said, I saw all Israel scattered upon the hills as sheep that have not a shepherd. And the Lord Yahweh said, these have no master. Let them return every man to his house of peace. And that's what Micaiah told him. He said in a vision, he was basically speaking a vision, you know. He was speaking, a vision that he had, from the Lord. Verse 18, and it reads, and the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, the southern king Jehoshaphat, did I not tell thee that he would prophesy no good concerning me, but evil? See, going back, he wanted to hear what them other so-called prophets that spoke to him. Okay, now verse 19. And he said, Hear thou therefore the word of the Lord Yahweh. I saw the Lord Yahweh sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left hand. And Micaiah said, continue to tell him, this is basically what Micaiah is speaking through that about that vision he had. And now let's go and keep reading. It reads to verse 20. And the Lord Yahweh said, Who shall persuade Ahab, that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said on this matter, and another said on that matter. Did I read that correctly? And one said on this matter, and another said on this matter. So it was already it was already set up. You just Ahab had just walked through it, you know what I'm talking about, but it was already set up for him to fail. And Micaiah is actually letting him know. Verse 21, and it reads, And there came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord Yahweh and said, I will persuade him. And finally a spirit approached the Lord and said, I can do it. I can get him to do it, Verse 22, and the Lord said unto him, Wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, Thou shalt pursue him and prevail also. Go forth and do so. The Lord said, yeah, that's what's up. Verse 23, it says, Now therefore, behold, the Lord Yahweh had put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and the Lord Yahweh had spoken evil concerning thee. So Micaiah was telling him the Lord had put a lying spirit in the mouth of all your prophets. See, the Lord is righteous in all his movements, you know what I'm talking about? But being prideful and thinking that you can get around what's already been set up, carnally, dealing with this flesh, you think that you can get around what's already been set up in the spirit. That goes to show you don't have faith or belief in the Lord, of what the Lord can do. All right, now verse 24 says, But Zedekiah, the son of Chaniah, went near and smote Micaiah on the cheek. He went up there and slapped him and said, Which way went the Spirit of the Lord from me to speak unto you? He was like, when did the Spirit of the Lord Yahweh lead me to speak through you? Basically. And Micaiah said, Behold, thou shalt see in that day when thou shalt go into an inner chamber to hide thyself. And the king of Israel, going back to Ahab, said, Take Micaiah and carry him back to Ammon, the governor of the city, and to Josh, the king's son. He was like, take him back to the governor of the city, my boy, and my son. And said, Thus said the king, Put this fellow in prison and feed him with bread of affliction and with water of affliction until I come in peace. And Micaiah said, If thou return at all in peace, the Lord Yahweh had not spoken by me. And he said, Hearken. And he said, O people, every one of you. He was like, mark my word now. If he come back in peace and alive, breathing and whatnot, the Lord ain't even dealing with me, basically, Verse 20, it says, So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, went up to Ramoth Gilead. And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, I will disguise myself and enter into battle, but put thou on thy robe. And the king of Israel disguised himself and went into battle. He wanted the king of Judah to be dressed in his kingly garments and whatnot, but he wanted to come and dress himself, I guess, as a lowly soldier. But check this out. But the king of Syria commanded his 30 his 32 captains that had ruled over his chariot, saying, fight neither with small nor great, save only with the king of Israel. In other words, don't bother yourself with none of them lower ranks. Just get the king of Israel. That's it, you know. And it came to pass when the captains of the chariots saw Jehoshaphat that they said, surely this is the king of Israel. And they turned aside to fight against him, and Jehoshaphat cried out. And it came to pass when the captains of the chariots perceived that it was not the king of Israel, they turned back from pursuing him. And a certain man drew a bow at a venture and smote the king of Israel between the joints of the harness. Wherefore he said unto the driver of his chariot, turn thy hand and carry me out of the host, for I am wounded. And the battle increased that day, and the king was stayed up in his chair. He was propped up in his chair against the Syrians, and died at evening. And the blood ran out of the wound into the midst of the chariot. So the Lord has already had it set up through the Spirit, man. You know, you're not going to escape your judgment. You're not going to escape. You're not going to change the course of things. You know, that's why they inquired of the prophets so that they can see what the Lord had to say about it all. But like Micaiah said, the Lord in the vision, the Lord had put a lying spirit in all your prophets and warned them. You go out there, you're gonna get put to death. And what did Ahab do? He went ahead and went to battle anyway, and disguised himself. You know what I'm saying? So he felt like he can, through his carnal means, you know, disguising himself, he can defeat what was put forth, was already decreed from the Lord. So, you know, going back, let's go to it again, Ephesians 6. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickednesses in high places. That's the moral of the story. So, you know, like and one more we're going to close out with 2 Corinthians 10, I believe. We're going to close out with this. It says, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yahweh, to the pulling down of strongholds. Hey, it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. Lord willing, it was edifying. I want to end it by giving infinite honor and praise to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the Apostle Elders, Great Millstone. I will be posting the Hebrew word of the day, and with that, Shalom.